One big question around the world today that still has no definitive answer is how to exactly measure and define poverty in today's day and age. In this presentation, we will explain various poverty measurements while also emphasizing how we believe poverty should be defined and measured.
There is no one universally agreed upon definition to defining and measuring poverty globally today. Different experts and authors have had different ideas for a long time about what it truly means to be impoverished in modern society and what measurements work best to determine poverty.
One person that has a view on poverty is Robert Rector, who does research for the Heritage Foundation focusing on issues of poverty. Based off his work, he has certain biases and supports conservative public policies, which makes him not a big supporter of government poverty programs and the redistribution of wealth. Rector thinks that the public media is misleading and exaggerating the amount of people that are to be considered poor. He believes that yes, food, shelter, clothing, and utilities are important for each person to have access to, and it's a good measurement for poverty, but that the country still considers many impoverished, even though they have FCSU and more. In his article, Rector also talks about how poverty has become more and more skewed as the years go on. He notes that people who are considered impoverished are living better than most all of society 100 years ago. Rector harps on the fact that other amenities are not basic needs in society, like having internet or an Xbox, and that families that are really struggling out there are struggling because they are spending their little incomes on these additional non-necessary amenities. We feel that Rector is downplaying the issue of poverty in the United States when he emphasizes how the media misleads and over-exaggerates poverty around the world.
Martha Nussbaum, a philosopher and professor at the University of Chicago, has written extensively on what she thinks poverty is and its real effects on people around the world. Nussbaum takes a unique approach in that she focuses on an individual's ability to sustain their dignity and a good quality of life for each individual through what she calls capabilities, or to put it simply, someone's potential to achieve something in life. Nussbaum argues that to solely focus on a country's GDP or an individual's monetary status, you're losing a lot of important information about one's life that indicates poverty.
We also asked AI what they thought about poverty and how to define it. They got it down to three basic categories. One, income-based measures, such as absolute poverty, which sets a baseline at $2.15 a day, and if you're below that line, you're considered extreme poverty, and also relative poverty that compares yourself with the rest of the country. Also, multidimensional approaches like the capabilities approach, and then finally, societal exclusion, just based off if you're able to contribute to society and you have dignity.
Clearly, there are many different perspectives on poverty, but generally speaking, one thing is universally agreed upon. Poverty is not enough of something, whether it be money, capabilities, or some other statistic.
Capabilities are the opportunities, freedoms, or abilities people have in order to complete various functionings. Functionings are the actual doings or beings that a person achieves in their life based upon the capabilities available. Focusing on capabilities puts an emphasis on freedom and choice as well as different inequalities in life. For example, a child named Billy lives in a country that offers free public education. Billy has the opportunity to be educated and attend school even if he chooses not to. Billy decides that he will not attend school, which leads to the functioning of him not being educated, although he did have the capability to do so. On the other hand, there's a child named Sue that lives in a country that does not offer free public education. Although Sue asks her parents to attend school every day, her family is not in the financial situation to make this happen. In this instance, Sue does not have the capability to attend school, which leads to her being uneducated, which is the functioning. Only focusing on functionings does not paint the full picture. When focusing on capabilities, we know that Sue was not in the financial situation to attend school, while Billy was. This is why capabilities are a crucial part of the poverty puzzle. As discussed earlier, Martha Nussbaum created a capabilities approach, and there are 10 capabilities she just outlined that are seen right here.
Here are two different non-monetary measures that exist for determining if one's in poverty: the capabilities approach and the MPI, or the multidimensional poverty index. The capabilities approach focuses on one's ability to achieve something in their life, or their potential. Ideally, all capabilities can be turned into functionings. When one has a lot of capabilities, it is indicative of great freedom and dignity. The MPI, on the other hand, uses three dimensions to look at poverty: health, education, and living standards, then breaks these up into smaller subsections that can be measured to ultimately determine one's poverty status. With the capabilities approach, Nussbaum lays out 10 principles that are easy to interpret that hit on how to have dignity and a good quality of life. Ultimately, this is what we care about the most when analyzing an impoverished person's situation. A counterargument to the capabilities approach might be that the MPI is easier to measure. However, the MPI is less holistic because it focuses on individual lifestyle and it has less factors. On top of this, the 10 capabilities approach starts as a good guide for other countries to work off of, while still focusing on dignity and quality of life. Two of the primary measurements of poverty that exist today include the OPM, the official poverty measure, and the SPM, the supplemental poverty measure. The two both utilize cash income and cash government benefits. The OPM has been in use for the United States only for much longer, since the 1960s, and was created by this woman, Molly Orshansky, an American economist and poverty expert. It sets the poverty threshold at 3 times the expenses of a food basket, adjusted for inflation over time. The SPM, on the other hand, includes other factors such as non-cash benefits or food stamps, tax credits, and geographic differences, but subtracts non-discretionary expenditures.
So as we saw, both the OPM and SPM are poverty measures that take income into consideration. But we decided to use the OPM because it offers a more straightforward, widespread poverty threshold. It's an accurate measure to tell how each person is being affected by poverty. The goal of the OPM is to simply set a poverty line that can be easily evaluated and is currently only measured in the United States, but it can be easily expanded throughout the entire globe. The capabilities approach also offers what the OPM lacks comparative to the SPM. The SPM includes more, but the capabilities approach backs up what the OPM does not.
So, after analyzing all the different approaches for measuring poverty, we decided that the OPM and capabilities approach together work best in creating a holistic measurement of poverty. We believe that this respects both the dignity and quality of life while also providing a definite, simple, and familiar monetary threshold that works as a baseline when analyzing one's finances. Nussbaum's 10 central capabilities takes a non-monetary measurement using a broad list of 10 capabilities as a guide for measuring one's dignity and quality of life outside of monetary measurements. This is essential for staying out of poverty. Having all 10 central capabilities and being above the threshold means that ultimately you are not impoverished. In the end, we hope that this presentation offered insight into the various ways poverty is measured and defined around the world, while also backing up our claim that poverty should be measured and defined by a combination of both the OPM and the central capabilities approach.